Hey everybody, so for this video I'm starting off with an absolute bare face because this is going to be my beginner's foundation routine, which I'm really excited about. I hope that this is very helpful. It is talked through, but I'm going to try to not talk too much, so I'm gonna just go ahead and just get started. So if you're a beginner in makeup, the first thing you want to do is always make sure that your hands are clean. That's like number one. The second thing you want to do is find a great primer. Primer is so important when it comes to your makeup. Primer can take your makeup from mess to yes in like 1 second after you apply it. So primers are completely customized to your skin tone and your skin type. If you have oily skin, then they have oil control primers and mattifying primers. If you have dry skin, then they have hydrating primers. So finding a primer is all about knowing your skin type and just trying things out. For me, I have oily skin and it is the winter time, so my skin isn't too oily. So I use the POREfessional by Benefit. This is like the little like mini one, but I found that the mini one is just enough for me because I don't wear makeup a lot. So first thing you want to do is just go ahead and apply your primer. Okay, so now that we have our primer on, I want to talk about makeup tools for a second. So if you're a beginner in makeup tools can seem pretty overwhelming. You have like $50 for one brush. You have like $150 brush sets, and it's just a lot to take in. It's a lot to choose from, and you kind of don't have any guidance as to what's good for your money and what's not. So for your one-stop shop with your makeup brushes, the one thing that you will need and can use for literally everything are beauty sponges. Beauty sponges are everywhere right now. They started off at Sephora. If you're familiar with the beauty blender, they're sold at Sephora for $20. But the sponges that I use are by Real Techniques, and they look like this. So they're called the Real Techniques Miracle Sponges. They work the exact same way as a Sephora beauty blender. I personally had the beauty blender, and my beauty blender broke, like split right in half after like a month. So I definitely wasn't going to spend another $20. You can get these sponges by Real Techniques from Ulta or from your local Walmart. I haven't seen them in a drugstore. But this 2-pack is $10, whereas one beauty blender from Sephora is $20. So you can also get these sponges individually, and they're $5 a piece. See today how you can use these and how versatile these are and how much you really get for your money. This isn't one of those instances where like you get what you pay for. You get way more than what you pay for with these sponges. So next thing you want to do is find your foundation. Just like primers are like based on your skin type, foundations are too. So if you have oily skin, you probably want to find like a mattifying primer, or a primer that's like satiny natural finish that you can set with powder and it can go matte, and then throughout the day it'll become luminous. Or if you have dry skin, you want to find a good and dewy foundation, something that doesn't dry you out or anything. So my favorite foundation ever is the Nars All Day Weightless Luminous Foundation. This is perfect for my skin type, though. I just pump that on the back of my hand, and then I just start applying it all over my face. Now we're going to take our damp sponges, and we're just going to bounce this up and down. And this is going to do all the blending for you. You want to make sure that you're bouncing it up and down and you're not sweeping, because if you sweep, then your foundation isn't getting pushed into your skin. You're just kind of wiping it off as you try to blend it out. So just make sure that you go up and down. I'm not sure if I already said this, but the best way to dampen your sponge is to run it over your faucet. Just turn on your water, run it over, and then squeeze it out, and then take a paper towel or a regular towel, something that's going to absorb that excess water, and just give it a couple of good squeezes in that towel, and then you should be good to go. My sponges, for the longest, I would wet them and then I would use them, and I found that when I was using them, it was like taking all the foundation off my face, and I just didn't know why, and I was like starting to not like the sponge. So I was like, it's not working for me. And then my mom was like, it's because you have too much water in it, and she would wring it out and water would literally just like fall right out the sponge. So I had way too much water in mine. But yeah, so that's the best way to dampen your sponge, I find. Well, of course, like, I sped this up, but in real lifetime, I spend about a good 10 to 12 minutes just like bouncing this up and down on my face, because you can never be too blended, I feel. Okay, so continue on with all your creams. You want to do all your creams, all your liquids before you do your powders. Creams, if you try to put creams on top of powders, the creams aren't going to have anything to really settle into because it's the powder under it, and it's going to break apart throughout the day. So you want to do all your liquids at the same time. So my concealer, I just love my Nars all day. I mean, Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. I use the shade Caramel, which is close to my skin tone. So you want to take your concealer underneath your eyes, and then to balance out that highlight, you want to take it on your chin, on your forehead, and on your nose. I also take it around my nose because I get a lot of redness around my nose, and I do it around my mouth a little bit because I get dark around my mouth. So I'm just going to blend this out using the same sponge. This is how good the sponge is. So now, continuing on with our one-stop shop, I'm going to take another sponge. I'm just going to dip it into here. It picks up a pretty good amount of product, which is what I like. And I'm just going to press that everywhere I put my concealer. So underneath my eyes, on my chin, on my nose, and on my forehead. And you can let this sit for however long you want. I personally don't like letting this sit on my face every day. Well, I don't wear makeup every day, first of all. But when I'm just like want a really nice and fresh look, I don't like letting this sit on my face because I find that, you know, it's a baking, so it makes your face a lot more matte and a lot more highlighted. So now is the time where I would go in with my first brush, which is just a synthetic brush, and I just take this and I just blend off my powder. Okay, so once you have your concealer powder brushed off, if you're done using any other liquids on your face, I know some people like to cream contour. Personally, as a beginner, I wouldn't recommend cream contouring. It can be very, very hard to master. I try sometimes, and I think that I've got it a little bit. I'm definitely not expert at it. I'm pretty intermediate when it comes to it. But for a beginner, I would stick to powder contours and powder bronzers. Those would be like your best friends. I would just suggest, after you go ahead and brush away your baking powder, to set the rest of your face with either a translucent powder or a skin tone powder. This is my MAC Mineralize Skin Finish. I highly, highly, highly recommend these powders to beginners out there. They are a bit on the pricier side, but if you can manage to get your hands on one, I recommend it. These are the sheerest setting powders out there, and you won't look cakey, which is what I love about it. So I just swirl my brush in here, and it doesn't matter how much you pick up because this powder will never ever make you look cakey. It's literally the bomb. And I just run that all over my face. Okay, so now that our faces are set and we're powdered down, we can continue on with our powders. So I personally love to bronze more than I do love to contour, just because I feel like bronzer just gives more color to your face. It's like there's a certain point where contour can look very, very unnatural and very noticeable. You know, as a beginner, we don't want all that. We want a little bit of color, we want a little bit of bronzer, but we're not trying to go overboard. So I highly recommend the e.l.f. contouring blush and bronzer duos, shade Turks and Caicos, and I love this one the most. So I take another brush. This is just a nice, it's like kind of flat, but it's like tapered, so it's really good for getting right in this area. And any brushes that I do use, I do not use expensive brushes at all. Any brushes that I do use either come from a website called Morphe Brushes, or it comes from Real Techniques. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this. You always want to start off with a little bit of anything that you put in your face and work your way up. I'd rather you start off with a little bit and work your way up than apply a lot and don't know what to do with it. Just take a wipe and wipe it off. Just start off with a little bit. I'm just going to like do my cheeks like this and start bronzing my face. If you feel like you need to go back and blend out your bronzer a little bit more, which I do feel like that all the time, just take a really big fluffy brush and go in and blend it out. Because we've already set our foundation with our powder, now we're just working with powder on top of powder, which is much easier to blend together. So go back in with your fluffy brush and just blend your bronzer out. Okay, so this video was a beginner's foundation routine. It was just for the base of my makeup. Now I'm gonna finish off my makeup and then I will come back for the end of the video. Okay you guys, so I finished the rest of my makeup. This is what it looks like. This is pretty much my go-to makeup. I definitely don't wear makeup every day, but if I do wear makeup, this is what I'm going to. So if you guys want to see another video on how I get this look, then like this video and leave me a comment and just let me know, and I will definitely do a video on this look. But the last thing that I wanted to mention to you beginners is one thing to not skip out on is a setting spray. My favorite setting spray is my NYX Dewy Finishing Spray. It looks like this and it is amazing. Not sure how many pumps I use. I just spray it, so. Okay, so I use about 7 pumps of that. But what I love so much about setting sprays is that your face no longer looks powdery. Now everything is like coming together. The highlight has like melted into my skin, and my blush and my bronzer and everything just comes together. It looks a lot more natural, and I just find it more flattering when you use a setting spray. So that's it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that I didn't talk too much, and I hope that it was helpful enough for anyone out there. I have a lot of family members and friends that are beginners in makeup, and I get a lot of questions about my makeup. So I wanted to make this video for every beginner out there. Your makeup can be flawless. Your makeup can look just as good as anyone else's, and you don't have to spend $30 on one brush. You don't have to spend $20 on a sponge. Like, there's other alternatives out here, and I just want to get that out there. I hope that I provided enough tips, and I hope that at least somebody takes one thing from this video. So I want to thank you guys for watching my video. Don't forget to thumbs it up and subscribe to my channel, please.